All right, welcome to my story called One Week of Ice Fishing. My hope is that this story helps you to learn a little bit more about degrees of freedom. So let's start with this question. What are degrees of freedom? These are one of those things that never really clicked for me when I was a student. I'm sure I had instructors explain it to me, but nothing really seemed to stick. And so over the years, I've tried to find better ways of explaining this. So I put together this story to hopefully explain it a little bit more and give you some context. A formal definition we could throw out here is degrees of freedom are the number of values that are free to vary without changing the final calculation of a statistic, like the mean, for example. And to me, that helps, but I think without any context, it's hard for me to really grasp it. So let's dive into this story about ice fishing to hopefully explain this a little bit more. So let's imagine that I'm going ice fishing for a week. Right, that's great news. Get out of the office, get outside, spend a week out in nature, out in the cold. Sounds like a great time, right? And so let's say I'm getting ready for the trip, and I set my goal of catching 2 keepers per day on average. Right, there might be some little fish and small bites, but I want 2 keepers, right? 2 big old fish that I can take home or eat on the spot, right? Whatever I want to do with them. Why do I want to do this? I don't know. Just because maybe I bet a friend of mine some money on it, right? I don't want to lose my money to my buddy. More importantly than that, I don't want my pride to get hurt, right? Because in my mind, I'm an avid fisherman, whatever, right? And so for whatever reason, this is my goal. And so my question then, to help explain degrees of freedom, is in how many days can my yield vary freely in pursuit of this goal? That might not click. So in other words, how many days can I wake up in the morning without a specific number of fish that I have to catch that day? Right? How many days can I wake up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, start fishing without a care in the world because there's still plenty of time with which I can hit my goal? Well, let's explore that question. Right? For safekeeping, there's my goal up in the top right corner, but I promise I'm not going to let you forget that. Right. So let's say I start the first day. Right. I wake up. I'm at camp. I'm getting my hole ready. I'm getting ready to fish, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to reach this goal of 2 fish per day. Right. And when I think about it, there's a lot of different ways I can do this. For one, let's say I have a little bit of a slow start today. I catch 1 fish. Well, really, there's just plenty of room. Right. I'm going to hit 2 fish per day easy. Maybe I'm a fish catching robot and I'll catch exactly 2 fish per day. That would be pretty weird, but boy, would it be sweet, right? And I would reach my goal, and that precision would just be kind of creepy, honestly. It'd be weird, but it could happen. Even if I have a slow start, though, like if I catch 0 fish today, I'm golden, right? I'm gonna be fine. Like I said, at this point, it sure seems like all the days can still freely vary. I can wake up each day and just start fishing, and whatever happens, happens, right? I'm gonna reach my goal. And let's say I go through the first day, and by golly, I catch 2 fish, right? And so I'm thinking, I am right on track for my goal. I am a great fisherman, and my buddy is going to owe me so much money, and all is right in the world, right? So I watch the sun go down, and I'm just full of love and peace, and just savoring the moment, right? And the next day, that just gets magnified because I catch 3 fish, right? I'm on track. I'm at 2.5 fish per day, right? I should have bet more money on this, and just found more people to talk to try to make bets about this with, right? But then the third day, I immediately start eating my words and realized that I was getting hot headed because I catch 0 fish, right? So what once seemed like I was on track to just absolutely surpass my goal, now I'm actually under my goal. I'm at 1.7 fish per day. Okay, I've learned my lesson. I won't be so egotistical next time, right? Or I won't get too excited right off the bat. So I'm a little anxious though, so I started thinking about it. I think there's still a lot of room for me to reach my goal. If I have a slow day tomorrow and catch 1 fish, there's still a lot of room. I might have to have one good day in there, but overall I can do it. I mean, but hell, even if I have 2 bad days, catch 1 fish for the next 2 days, I'll have to have a strong finish, but I can still reach my average. All right, at this point, the 4 remaining days can still freely vary, right? Or it sure seems like it, because there's just a lot of room to work with. And so I go about my business, catch 1 fish, catch 2 fish. My average is still below 2 per day, so I'm not feeling great about it. So I'm thinking about this. I've got 2 days left out here. I've loved my time, but I'm worried about reaching my goal. I guess I could catch 3 fish per day for the next 2 days, and that would help me get there. Or I could have one really good day and one, average day, I suppose. Then I would hit my average of 2 fish per day. I could have one atrocious day and one amazing day, and I could still reach my goal, right? So at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a breeze. I'm still good, right? 2 remaining days can still freely vary. I'll wake up each day, and it'll be fine, right? But then tragedy strikes. It's day 6, and I catch no fish. So now my average is the lowest it's ever been. What am I going to do? And I'm like, okay, well, if I wake up tomorrow, how many fish do I need to catch in order to get to my average of 2 fish per day? And the answer is I have to get exactly 6, right? And the reason is this one remaining day cannot freely vary, right? Now I'm going to wake up on that last day and I absolutely have to hit a certain number in order for my average to work, in order to get the exact average I was looking for. And that is what we're talking about when we talk about degrees of freedom. In this example, I could wake up on 6 days of this week-long trip without a specific number that I have to catch in order to meet my goal. Or in other words, there were 6 days of this trip with yields that were free to vary in order to meet my goal of 2 fish per day on average. So we can reframe this a little bit to work towards our definition of degrees of freedom. In this case, there were 6 values that were free to vary in order to calculate an average of 2 fish per day, or in even more simple terms, there were 6 degrees of freedom in the final calculation of the statistic. In this case, of the mean, the average of 2 fish per day. All right, and so degrees of freedom, the basic formula here, if my sample was 7 days minus 1, 6 days, that was my degrees of freedom, and that is why degrees of freedom often is calculated as n minus 1. I hope this is helpful. We'll see you around.